The gentleman from Charlottesville. Gentleman from Charlottesville, Mr. Toscano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I think this might be the most important vote that I have taken during the time I've been here. Admittedly, I haven't been here this long, but I think this might be the most important vote. And as I thought about this bill over the last 2 weeks, I thought about some of the reasons why I came here in the first place. And, you know, I think there are a lot of people out there who are pretty cynical about politics. And you've heard them. You have many constituents who write you all the time. Some of them are very nice and say, we really want to get things done. And they just honestly disagree with you. Others are so wedded to some abstract sense of political purity that they say to you that unless you do it my way, I'll throw you out in a New York minute. I'm afraid there are too many of those out there, and I'm afraid if we let them get a hold of things, we will just be in the D.C. soup, just like they are up above the Potomac. This kind of attitude breeds gridlock and inaction, and our democracy, frankly, can't operate that way. I subscribe to the views held by the gentleman from Fairfax when he said, you know, I want to get something done. And I think a lot of us in this chamber really want to get something done. So here's our chance on transportation. Early in this session, I talked about various principles that I thought were important in a final transportation plan. And I thought about them again and trying to think through whether I could come to support this plan. Principle number one, we had to have enough revenue. Otherwise, we were just kicking the can down the road, moving things around, celebrating a victory that was hollow. There's enough revenue in this plan, at least in the short term, and it's a substantial step forward. Over $1 billion a year if you consider not just the statewide piece, but the regional pieces as well. We talked a lot about the importance of having this plan funded with real money, not phantom money based on something that may or may not occur in Washington, D.C. This plan does that. It does include the provisions for marketplace equity money coming in to help fund the plan if Congress does it, but it has a really great trigger that will allow those monies to be replaced if for some reason Congress doesn't do what a lot of people in this room hope and believe they will do, and that is pass that Marketplace Equity Act. It includes some provisions for diverting some of that sales tax revenue that comes in for education. That's a nice little nugget that's attractive to me in this plan. Principle three, general fund. As you know, a lot of us on this side are very concerned with the diversion of the general fund. How many times did you hear us talk about that? This bill is a little troubling in that regard. But, you know, diversion is not as great as it was in the governor's plan. And the designations in the marketplace equity that go to education make it a little more palatable. I'm not sure I will ever support that concept, but in order to get a compromise, that is worth embracing. Principle four, that this bill would not just be about solving the maintenance shortfall, which we've talked about a lot over the last few years. And this solves the maintenance shortfall, at least in the short term. But it would also be about raising money for construction, rail, and transit. One of the really important things about this, and one that should be very, very attractive to people from Norfolk, Hampton Roads, Newport News, is that for the first time we have a dedicated source of revenue for inner city passenger rail. And I can say to the gentleman from Roanoke and the other gentlemen from Roanoke, you know, you may not have a train yet, but you will like that train when it shows up in your town. Fifth, we wanted the money right now to get that money in the pipeline, to prime the economic pump. I think there's for every $1 billion in construction, it's how many thousand jobs? 35,000 jobs? This is a jobs bill. And if the money comes in right now, it helps a great deal. And 6, the flexibility given to the various regions to raise the money in their region and keep it there for their own projects. The infamous Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads packages. That is very, very significant for those parts of the Commonwealth. The gentleman from Fairfax said another thing that I picked up on this morning, and that he said, let me solve my problem. That's what those packages help him do. But beyond that, it helps us solve our problem. Because what, 34 cents of every dollar raised in sales tax comes from Northern Virginia? And with the expansion of the ports in Hampton Roads, the importance of being able to invest in the transportation infrastructure in Hampton Roads so that our port can be the thing it will be to bring economic activity to the Commonwealth. These are really important things, not just for those regions, but for the Commonwealth as a whole. Are there things that I don't like about the package? Sure. I don't like reducing the gas tax. I don't like increasing the sales tax that much. I don't like the hybrid tax. There are things that I don't like about this. But I'm willing to support it because I do think that even though it doesn't solve every problem, it solves a lot of problems. And I do think that this is our last shot for some time. And it's our best shot for the near term. It's not the solution for the generation, but is a step forward. And it's our shot that our constituents want us to take. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, there are many fingerprints on this bill. We've heard all the folks' names, gentlewoman from Fairfax, all of the various people who worked on the Northern Virginia package over the years, the conferees, a lot of people involved in this bill. But let me say to you, this is no longer the governor's bill. This is no longer the speaker's bill. With this vote, with all due respect, with this vote, ladies and gentlemen, this is now our bill. It rises and falls with us here, now, today. I hope you will pass the bill.